All right, boys, I hope you pulled all of your bug cards from Invincible Air Raid because the bugs are out and the cute anime waifu girls are in. With now Cosmic Ocean being live over on Master Duel, you can now pull for Marincess water control cards, Shark, and Ice Jade if that tickles your fancy. And we're going to talk about all of that and more in today's video. But before we actually begin, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. This channel is new, although I'm not new to YouTube. I both run a FGO channel and a Bleach channel. I'm just expanding out into Yu-Gi-Oh! As I do believe it is the most fun you can have with cardboard. So I'm extending out here and kind of starting a Yu-Gi-Oh! Channel and seeing how things go. First and foremost, though, before we actually start diving into this video, I will say if you have not finished on the Newborn Dragon over here, more specifically getting your branded cards, you're probably better off still summoning on this. I know there's a lot of kind of fluff in here, like with the ghost trick stuff. And maybe like if you've pulled your second or third Evil Longyun, you know, that could maybe feel like it's a little bit of fluff, but I always treat that as just like free UR points on my road to trying to getting like the 3 branded fusion that you're going to want, at least 2 Mirajay, 2 Lubellion, stuff like that. This is definitely some stuff that you want to be pulling on because branded is just going to be generally good for a long time. I mean, it just recently kind of got revived in the TCG. There's a new Ra's Disciple strategy where you use the Ra's Disciple to pretty much lock your opponent out of summoning any monsters. Very similar to the hero combo with Dark Angel where they use Dark Angel to lock their opponent out of spell cards, right? So that breathes some new life into it. There's a new Slifer trap that allows you to like draw 6 cards if you're using a Slifer engine in your deck. And that breathed some new life into the branded engine. So it's always probably just a wise and good idea to go ahead and snag these cards while they're available. I believe they're still here for like, what, 30 days or something? Yeah, 30 days left. It's still probably wise to at least make sure you walk away with your 3 branded fusion, your double Mirajay, double Lubellion, you know, all that good stuff. So you can start at least playing branded in other decks, as it's still probably going to be good for a while. But if you're done doing that, or if you're not a meta shill and you truly do not care, Cosmic Ocean is a very, very fun secret pack. I mean, first and foremost, you have all of the new Marincess cards being printed in here, and this makes Marincess a very, very good deck. If you are not paying attention to the last format in the TCG, Marincess was actually really good with the new support they got. In fact, they got a couple of topping spots in some regionals and whatnot. They actually did very, very well, had some pretty favorable matchups into the meta. Basically, what you're doing is you're just going to make this giant towers monster over here and their new boss monster, Aqua Argonaut, and you're basically just going to sit there. You have a couple of negates, a couple pieces of interaction with, I believe it's called Marincess Wave, and the field spell. So, like, that stuff makes it a very fun deck to play. I also believe, personally, that's very easy to play. I also then might get a little bit of flack for this, but it's almost so easy to play that it's almost just press yes simulator. As long as you're playing the good Marincess cards, it's really not hard to build a somewhat competent board. Now, I say that, and I played a guy that was, you know, using some of the bad Marincess cards earlier today. I actually wonder if it's in the pack. He was running, oh, it's not here. Oh, he was C-Star, yeah. He's running some of the cards that you typically don't see in deck lists, and I was like, what is this guy doing? He's ending on like link monsters with no equips, because that's basically what they do. The Marincess link monsters will equip other link monsters to themselves, and then they'll gain like extra effects from them. I mean, Aqua Argonaut can special summon one to like negate an effect, for instance. So it's a very, very fun deck. It's going to be very competent. I would expect to run into it into the ladder because it's capable of going toe-to-toe with like some of the other good meta decks. You know, things like Dragon Link, Sword Soul, Branded Despia. It is capable of fighting against a lot of those decks. So I would expect to see this kind of just being a generally a good option for a while. That is until like Sprite and Tier Element come in and they just flip the table over. And now Marincess is nowhere to be seen in the TCG. So they're going to be very good. They don't get any worse. I think it's just the decks around them get a lot better, as I'm sure a lot of people have heard about Sprite and Tier Element. But the deck that I'm actually, funny enough, looking forward to is probably maybe the 3rd worst deck here. I think the worst thing you could be doing with this is probably playing Ice Jade, right? It's a deck, right? It's one of the decks of all time. I don't really advise playing the Ice Jade stuff, although I wouldn't necessarily trash them because we're seeing some support for Ice Jade and like the new Photon Hypernova set that is coming out, and it looks like they might be formulating into somewhat of a strategy. So maybe hold on to them. Who knows? But the deck that I'm actually looking forward to playing is like water control, Kyriushin control, whatever you want to call it. Basically, it just centralizes around just being very, very annoying. I mean, you could do so much with this deck. I mean, you can lock out your opponent's zones. You have like searchable torrential tribute. You could summon barrier statue. Legendary Ocean makes it to where you can just like normal summon things like Kyriushin or something like the Legendary Fisherman cards. The Legendary Fisherman level 3, who I don't know if he's actually in this pack or not. I know 2 is there. I guess 3 is not, but 3 is basically kind of like a mini towers, right? He's kind of just like an unaffected Bungus. He's really good. You incorporate things like Sea Stealth Attack to protect your like your traps and your control cards. It also allows you to like just pop cards whenever your water monsters battle. It's very fun. I don't think it's particularly great, but it is fun. And I do encourage a lot of people to maybe give the deck a try if they are going to be pulling like numerous copies of Kyriushin. You definitely want 3 of them, but the good thing is that like stuff like Doom Kraken, I don't know why this is the SR and Jellyfish down here is the N, because you really care more about the Jellyfish than you do the Doom Kraken. The Doom Kraken's nice in the deck, but you know, some lists play it, some lists don't, right? The Jellyfish is more important, so it's kind of nice that there's lower rarity options that you can play. You have things like Warrior of Atlantis. I mean, if you're hurting for new points, I guess, if you're a newer player and you're like, oh, I can't wait to play water control, it's like, hey, bro, he's an N in here. You can snag him up real quick. You just got to make yourselves a Legendary Ocean and stuff like that, so you actually can, you know, have targets for him in the deck, because you don't want to be running normal Umi. Normal Umi's not quite good. You want to run Legendary Ocean, but that is definitely a fun deck you can be playing from this. And then finally, there's Sharks. Now, unless you're already like playing Sharks, you probably don't necessarily care about them getting support in this, because they get some interesting stuff. And actually, like the new support, because I believe this is all from the Mako/Nash box. I mean, it was the Nash box over in the OCG, and then the TCG changed it to Mako Tsunami for whatever reason. But you get a lot of like really good new shark cards if you want to play this. Like Abyss Shark's not terrible. Crystal Shark over here is not too terrible. You can also scoop up things like right and left hand shark if you want to do Crooked Cook shenanigans, but they're also just not terrible in and of themselves. You can actually kind of start building a decent shark strategy from this, but you're probably going to need to actually go into the main shark box to pull the rest of the stuff that you actually need. But it is something that you can do out of this box. Shark is not terrible, more like a rogue tier deck, right? But I would say the best thing you could be doing if you're going to pull on this box is play Marincess. Second best is probably Shark, with the third best being like a water control deck. And then the worst thing you could be doing is probably playing Ice Jade. Although the benefit of playing Ice Jade is that nobody knows what your cards do, right? Nobody knows. No one has any idea what your cards are actually going to be doing. But finally, if there's like one other reason to maybe go into this, it is the new Fluunderese card, right? They get their new quick play spell that definitely helps them out a lot, because as you guys know, if you negate the field spell or you negate Rabina being summoned, the deck kind of dies. But as you'll see, this one just allows you to add one Flunder monster or one Flunder field spell from your deck, literally being like, all right, so now we have access to either other piece, right? So Rabina gets negated, maybe we can get the field spell gets negated, we can get like Rabina or something, right? It just helps them out a lot more, right? Makes their deck a lot more consistent, which I know people that play Flunder are probably really happy about. People that hate playing against Flunder are probably molding right now, because Flunder just got like infinitely better. I mean, they lost, what did they lose? Like Pot of Prosperity off the last ban list. It got limited to 1 or something, but now they got triple of this, so they really just do not care. I mean, they kind of care, but you get what I'm saying. But overall, let me know what you guys are going to be playing out of this in the new box. If you want like my opinion as to whether or not you should summon for this or not, honestly, if you've already got like a strong, you know, tiered meta deck, like if you're already running like Sword Soul, or you're already running like Branded Despia, you're running just something along those lines, something that's actually just like a good deck currently, you don't really need to go into this just to play Marincess. Marincess is just really good now. Like Marincess is a deck that can actually just compete. But it's not really necessary if you're looking for the next big meta deck. The next real huge meta shift is going to come probably in a couple of months whenever Sprite or Tearlament comes out, because those are going to be a massive power leap in the game, and they're going to pretty much change how, you know, all the other decks interact with them. But It's still a very fun deck to play. It's very easy to pick up. There's also the Salamangrate structure deck that also came out. I might talk about that in like a different video. Maybe do like some Salamangrate like combo tutorials. I might do something along those lines to help out new people that want to play Salamangrate. But yeah, with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Remember, leave a like on the video, comment your thoughts down below, subscribe to the channel because your boy's now doing YouTube, or not YouTube, but Yu-Gi-Oh content. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace, late guys.